Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. Have you checked out the revamped CEDIA website yet? Explored the resources? Uploaded any projects? How about the association's new online academy? It's got over 100 hours of education content. On this week's episode, we have CEDIA's Samantha Ventura and Desiree Friedman share their screens and give us a virtual tour of the new online digs. Desiree Friedman, Director of Marketing at CEDIA, and Samantha Ventura, VP of Education and Training. Thank you so much for taking the time to join the CE Pro podcast.
Happy to be here.
Great. So today, we want to talk about the new initiatives that CEDIA has recently launched in terms of revamping the website and then offering a robust online academy. So we wanted to start, Desiree, we're going to start with you because you're going to give us a bit of a website tour. But first, let's just talk about in terms of, this is a major overhaul that you guys have done with CEDIA.net. What was the impetus behind the project and what were some of the goals?
Sure. I think that the impetus behind the project was that we, over the span of the last several years, had created many different sites. So we had a total of 5 different sites that were catered to speaking to different audiences that had a variety of branding initiatives depending on when the timing of the implementation occurred. And so what it really did was it bifurcated our audience a lot. And in some ways that helped us, and in some ways that was hindering our ability to comprehensively market all of the programs that we have for the variety of audiences that we serve. So the number one goal was getting all of our assets from a digital perspective in one place where no matter who you are to CEDIA, whether you are a member, whether you're a prospective member, whether you're somebody in the design build community, whether you're somebody looking to enter the industry from a career perspective, you can get to one place and easily find what we have to offer you.
Okay. And so in terms of the website, why did the organization say that now was the right time to engage with this? Was it to go hand in hand with the CEDIA Strong initiative that we've talked to Tabitha O'Connor about recently? Or were there some other elements in terms of, more website traffic that you've been seeing as a result of the pandemic going on? What were some of the things that you can point to?
I think the timeline of the launch in line with CEDIA Strong was really rather coincidental. We actually planned to launch in 2019. And so the project was started at the beginning of 2019 with an end of year launch planned. And as happens with lots of projects and new websites, there were some delays that we encountered. So it really just was serendipitous that everything culminated the way that it did to be able to provide that and the academy together in line with CEDIA Strong.
Okay. And then how much feedback did you use from, I know obviously you said that, pretty much anyone can use the website, but specifically for your integrator members, what was the feedback like in terms of, did you survey them for different features and navigation elements that they wanted on there that were to be prioritized?
Yes. So at the outset of the project, the vendor that we worked with helped us through a variety of survey tactics with our primary members integrators. We did both phone interviews and an online survey with them to really gauge what they were using now, what our current site was missing, and like what's an ideal scenario for them. And then kind of dug into that through the phone interviews. And then along the way, once we had different pieces in place, like what we thought the navigation was going to look like and what we thought the different pages would offer, we touched base with those people as well to really keep everybody engaged on an ongoing basis to make sure we're staying on the right path.
In terms of, do you have them use the dev site for it or the beta site in terms of having them go in and use it while you were putting it together to say like, that kind of works well, that could go a little bit better?
Yes, yeah, we included them in the beta process at the very end, but even before that, we did navigation testing to make sure that the way that we had things laid out was intuitive, really thinking about everything from somebody who has been on our site a bunch of times and has an expectation of where things are, to somebody who's never been on our site at all, and can they clearly find what they need.
Great. So what we were hoping to have you do, and I think you're prepared for, is to give us a bit of a tour of everything, so you can share your screen and we can go through the different areas, and particularly thinking about integrators in mind, just maybe how they can best navigate some of the particulars of the new site revamping.
Yeah, most definitely. So here we are on the homepage of CEDIA, which is where most people will land. And I think that one of the biggest improvements that we've made to the site is providing this, what we call a mega nav up here, which the goal of this tool is to give everyone a really clear top level map of what they can get to. So if you've never been here and you click on here, or you come here all the time and you click on the mega nav, you can really easily get to the main areas that we've laid out. You can see really clearly, I'm an integrator, and right here in the center are the resources that are designated for me. So if I navigate to that area, I get to the main integrator page, and you'll see throughout the site what we've done on these top headers for all of our pages is really emphasize the work that our member integrators are doing. So right here, and for all of those pages, you can click through to the Finder service page for that integrator. So whoever created this work or did this project, anybody can really clearly go and see, oh, this is the work that they've done, and see some of the other work examples that they've done as well.
Desiree, how can integrators get you guys projects, and what's involved? What should they know about when they're thinking, hey, I'd really like to have my work showcased on CEDIA.net? What's involved there?
There is an opportunity, if an integrator logs in, I'll take you there first to answer that question. So through the login process and navigating to your profile, clicking on your company profile, you have the opportunity to post in the inspiration gallery and also update your Finder service here.
Okay, so they can go in and really just upload all the materials that are needed.
Exactly. Yes. So if I go over here to the inspiration gallery, I can see this is a new entry actually that has been made in the past couple days by one of our integrators. So they've gone in through their profile and uploaded this specific project that they have named and provided details for. There's a limit of 10 images per project, so they've chosen to only put a few here, but you can put up to 10 images. You can provide a narrative of what was included in that project. All of your information as the integrator is going to appear here. And then it also gives the opportunity to provide what products and brands were used here. And these can also be linked out to those specific brands.
Oh, that's great. So has that whole process of submitting, has that been made smoother or easier in terms of the new website navigation?
Most definitely. A couple key improvements in these areas. Before, we did have an inspiration gallery that lived on our .org site, which we kind of focused to the design build community. And the only way that information got in there was for the CEDIA home office to enter that. So it was primarily populated with award-winning projects and things that we had focused on in some of our marketing initiatives. So really, this new inspiration gallery opens up a world to all of our integrators to be able to enter projects in on their own, give CEDIA the ability to use those projects to promote to other press members or whatever initiatives we might be working on. And then also use it as a marketing tactic. So an integrator can send this link easily to any potential clients, and it's a beautiful showcase of what they've done. And then you can see here, I can click through to this integrator's profile where I can find all of their information specific to their company, what certifications and other designations they have in the industry, and then the specialties that they have. And you can see they've entered 4 different projects into the gallery already. So from here, I can navigate to any of the other projects that they've entered to and really see a robust example of all of the work that they've done.
Oh, that's great. And they can just, so what you're saying is before it was more of a process because it involved people from CEDIA working with all these things, but now the integrators can just go and populate all of that themselves. So as many
Exactly.
projects as they want, they can upload it.
Exactly. So they have the opportunity to upload them. We do QC them on the back end to make sure that they are, providing appropriate language, not
Right.
using any images that would be a potential liability. And we are working on some videos that we're planning to put out in the coming months that will really help people populate that with wonderful information so that they can really showcase themselves optimally to potential clients.
Can integrators upload videos at this point too, speaking of that, or is it just images?
It's just images at this point.
Okay. And is there thinking that, oh, hey, we'll be able to do some 360-degree virtual tours and video functionality eventually?
Yes, most definitely. We are looking at what that would entail kind of for our phase 2.
Okay. Great. So obviously that's a huge part of the new website. What about some other features that you can take us through and show us about some of the improvements or differences or things that weren't there before?
Most definitely. So if I go back here to this integrators resource page, we have really brought in things specific to an audience of what we think they will need to navigate to easily. So here you can clearly see what are upcoming events. We have these event widgets throughout the site, and depending on the page you're on, we've catered it to, we think that this type of person is going to be on this page, and so we're going to feed this type of content to that person. So hopefully making it easier to find learning opportunities and networking opportunities for integrators that really make sense for them. Also, with the new certifications that we're offering, we've got that highlighted really clearly here as well. So on this integrator
so all the
page,
education aspects of what's going on there is one specific resource that was kind of on one of those other 5 sites that's now brought to this central repository.
Exactly. Yeah, it was really kind of spread out, and now you can find it really easily in one place. And if you navigate to our event calendar, that's a different way where you can find it. So this is a chronological look at what does CEDIA have going on. And you can really easily see everything there that we've got and click through to where you would register for that in kind of a seamless way.
Desiree, do you find that integrators wind up just going to CEDIA.net to sort of start everything, or do they search and come up with certain areas more than others in terms of the most ways that integrators make their way to your site, or designers or architects for that matter?
So I think from an integrator perspective, yes, they're primarily just going to CEDIA.net. And so that's why we've kind of designed it to be a great launching point to get to where you need to go. I think that for our design build audience, that really has been search-based. And so it's dropped people on kind of a smattering of pages. And we're really going to be proactively focused on those types of paid search initiatives in our marketing efforts to get people, those types of people specifically, to where they need to be. So we ideally don't want to drop a design or build person on the homepage. We really want to drop them on the resources page that we've designed for them, which is, again, just laden with member projects showing how beautiful things can be, and then tools that are industry specific of how they should and can use a CEDIA member to get what they need. So for integrators, this is another initiative that obviously CEDIA is really focused on, that we've put a lot of thought into. What can we provide to this audience to get them exactly what they want and get them to contact a member?
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. Are there any areas in particular that you found or that you may have already heard from some of your integrator members that were, maybe a little bit hard to find with the previous iterations of the website that are now, more front and center and easily navigable?
Yeah, I think certainly the education and finding the right information from an education perspective, like I'm this type of person, what should I take, has been kind of challenging. And then I think also our back end was a little bit challenging. There were a lot of drop downs where it was maybe 5 or 6 clicks to get to a white paper or something like that. And now all of those things have been brought up to top level. So here you can really clearly see we've got our industry standards, we've got our white papers, we've got those tools very easily accessible to them that really were not and were pretty buried before.
That's great. And I noticed that you have the homeowners section there as well. What were some of the priorities in terms of putting together that area so that, if someone's looking for an integrator and, stumbled upon your site, what will they be seeing?
I think the priority there was to make sure, while we don't have a super proactive initiative to go out and get homeowners, the fact is that homeowners are dropping on our site because of the searching that they're doing on the internet. So the goal was to have a really clear path for what they should do, who they should contact, and how they can do that really easily to get the outcome that they want. For everything from I'm thinking I might do some DIY smart home stuff to I want my entire home completely built out in smart technology, to get them on the right path to use one of our members and use the resources that we have.
Great. Sounds like it makes a lot of sense. So are there any other aspects that you want to cover about the website before we turn our attention over to the Academy?
I think the only thing that I would add quickly that was also a big priority for us, one of the sites that we have also redone is the CEDIA designer, which is a huge benefit to our integrators. Oh, it seems to not be loading right now.
All right. Well,
Well,
remind our readers what the CEDIA designer is and what they'll learn about it on your site and how they can use that tool.
definitely. So the CEDIA designer is a software tool that allows an integrator to, in a matter of minutes, kind of do all the mathematical computations to lay out a full media room, theater for a client. Something that might take hours or days in the past could really just be done in minutes using the software. It has a wide breadth of manufacturers that have their products in there available with full specifications, and for members it is offered for free at the base level. So really a good benefit there for time savings and money savings.
Perfect. So definitely something that everyone should look through and check out for consideration in terms of doing their projects. Certainly.
Most definitely.
All right. Well, thank you for that overview, Desiree. We really appreciate that. So now we're going to get Sam on here to tell us a bit about the CEDIA Academy and what went into that development. And in terms of navigating that, you're going to do a little bit of a tour for us as well, Sam.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We're so proud of both the initiatives and then all the collective energy that went into making them come to fruition. As Desiree mentioned, that the launch was maybe a little later than we would have wanted or liked, but all good things are worth the wait. And we truly believe that the experience you're going to have when you go to cedia.net and then even linking out to our academy, it will be well worth the wait for you. So very proud of all the work that Desiree and her team did for the website. It was a fantastic amount of work that's just culminated in a and a wonderful, wonderful visual and easy to navigate site. And then also linking out to our academy, which we're also very, very proud of. Just looking at a little of the history, we have fantastic intellectual property at CEDIA that we've had over the years. We've developed truly a library of just amazing, amazing amounts of knowledge. Everybody who's put in different presentations, proposals, different things from Expo to ISC to classes that we've had in the past. The education at CEDIA has always been something that the organization is truly, truly proud of. But then looking how we're going to be able to scale that, especially looking at now the idea that we really try to globally align with the UK, but also offering, using a learning management system, our new LMS specifically, to have the reach that we really want into our global markets is paramount to what we're trying to do with education. So we knew immediately we were going to have a strong enough platform to support that. And we chose a really good, really great LMS, I should say, a learning management system named Absorb. And it is a very intuitive way to go through our learning. It also highlights many different areas within education, even down to the podcasts, all the way through to certification, and it houses it in one very easy to follow way to see where you may want to go or where you've been already and where you might want to go in the future. It's also really hitting on a lot of the initiatives that CEDIA has taken on over the course of the 2 years as well, with workforce development and other areas that we're really trying to expand upon. So in a traditional sense, CEDIA would always, really focus on working with our business owners to support the learning that goes on within those organizations for themselves and their technicians. But now we're also looking at, if you're really going to, especially in the US, look to support a workforce development group themselves. Often those are anywhere, the age group anywhere between 18 up through 25. We need to be able to hit what I call the singleton market, where they would come in themselves and want to go to our LMS and look through our pathways and understand how they go through a career pathway to certification for themselves and become marketable on their own, not necessarily the way we've always done it in the past through the business owner. Both are very, very important. And so trying to hit each of those, we knew we needed to have a platform that would support the development of somebody as an individual and somebody that's supporting their own organization as well in terms of their learning. There's also a piece of this that goes back to professional development as well, where if you're a business owner, if you're your own person looking to go through our education, you really want to know how professional development can support your career, where you want to head within your career, or where you would like your technician to head within your organization as well. So you start here with this pathway, but we want to keep you, we want to retain you, we want to make sure that we're investing in you. This particular platform helps from a very visual sense to see where your employees are with their own learning. That then helps you understand reward system, how you further their education into other areas. If they wanted to go down a route that was business focused as opposed to just technical, these are the things that maybe in the past we weren't able to offer, and now we are. So
right.
really,
so the owners can really incentivize all these educational opportunities for their employees, it sounds like.
yes, turnover is expensive, and also the idea that retaining talent and making sure that you're not every year in a cyclical movement of now how do we get more techs, and instead understanding that a lot of it is furthering their education and supporting within your organization as a good leader what they need to have to then go back and support you. We help that with having a very visual sense of where they are with their own learning. So really, really proud of that. And I think we did a little of that in the past, but we're trying to do it better, and this helps that.
Great. So you want to take us through some of
Yes.
some of the individual aspects and elements of this academy?
Absolutely. Can you see my screen that should start with CEDIA Member of Excellence?
Yep, it's right there.
Okay, and we have a wonderful banner up here, and as I was mentioning before, it's very comprehensive. Hats off to Desiree and our team as well for working with a lot of people to get this up and running and make sense to somebody coming that may just want to go to a podcast, which then should springboard them into wanting to learn more about specific topics, of course. So it really is an organic transition through the education. Instead of maybe just a one and done, we're hoping that you'll see some of the classes that we've done this year, for example, like a cybersecurity or AV over IP. We worked with some wonderful industry leaders to develop fantastic curriculum that followed through from podcasts all the way to culminate into our classes in the LMS. So it wasn't just a one and done.
Great.
But as you can see, you can kind of navigate through here, even just looking up the courses that you've already enrolled in to an overall catalog. We offer resources, a transcript tab. You can look at your certification. You can resume a class that you've already logged into. So let's start first with the catalog. If you go to the catalog, it gives you a full idea of the different things that you can enroll in. If you were to click on one of them, it shows a drop down then of where you would be heading within that. It gives you a little bit of a topic here of what you're going to be looking to learn while you're doing it. And then it kind of breaks it down for you as well. Each of our courses are typically made up of 3 to 5 hours. So each course has classes or what we're calling modules within it. So if you hear something like, well, we have 3 modules, that's really 3 hours of learning within a course or a pathway. So if I was to resume over here to a class of AV over IP, it's going to go through the different levels of the progress that I'm already in. I did not start this particular module and I did not start this one. That would be 1 hour. That would be 1 hour. But
So
I
you
did
can take
already,
one and then come back at another time if you wanted to split it up a little bit.
absolutely, it's all self-paced. And you bring up a good point. Eventually, and we're in development of this right now with our wonderful technical trainer, our director of technical training, Steve Reese, working in conjunction with our director of curriculum, Derek Abshire. We're looking at doing our first offer of VILT, which is virtual instructor-led training. We're going to pilot probably, we're thinking, but we're going to pilot probably a review course for one of our new career pathways and do that as a simultaneous learning experience, which we don't have offered in the LMS right now, but it really traditionally would be a traditional sense of you get to enroll in the class, you show up on a Tuesday, Thursday from maybe 5 to 7 over a 3 to 4 week period of time, and it is instructor led. So that's a little bit different, and we're getting ready to develop that and pilot that hopefully early 2021. I would love
Great. So a combination of recorded and live sessions that they'll be able to attend.
Yes, something that again, we've never done before at this scale at all. So very excited about that. But I mean, these are just so beautiful. I'm so proud of these. Look at the level. I'm so proud of everything.
Oh, it looks great. How much of this thinking that and development that went into this website took place before the pandemic really hit, when now it's just kind of expected that, okay, everyone's going to have, you know, a slew of webinars and online offerings, but how much of this was in the works before then, before that time, and then did that just sort of accelerate things?
I'm glad you asked the question. There's a few different pieces to that response. First of all, similar to what Desiree said, this was something that was in the works since I started at CEDIA, which was over 2 years ago. We went through a huge vetting process of our LMS and then went through a huge planning process, what we call the product roadmap of what we were going to offer first. It takes a tremendous amount of time and resources to develop the classes out, of course. We use our wonderful instructional designers, Kara and Matt, on the education team to develop the classes. And we do have a little outside help as well. But I will say when the pandemic hit, we were really, really proud to then offer so many things through CEDIA Strong, the webinars, etc. That was in conjunction with what the work we were already doing for this was already happening. I will say one of the silver linings of having all of us home and working on what we were working on, we were able to kind of pivot a little bit and put a little more content out a little quicker than maybe what we would have thought we were going to, because we knew that when we were going to launch, we wanted to hit with the big enough bang so that somebody would go to the academy and say, wow, there are so many things to choose from. So we're building each month more and more, but it does take quite a bit of time and resource to do it. And it was well underway 2 years ago. This has been a very long, arduous process. And, you know, I don't mean to simplify it, but I will say it is a true commitment on CEDIA's part for the education of all the members and even the non-members that we're trying to get to understand, again, how important education is and to stay relevant within the industry, how important it is to continue your education. And that's somebody who's 18 all the way up to 88. I really don't, it's all the way the range, or even older. It's super, super important. So yeah, I'm really, really proud of this. And then if you can go down, you can see we always have learning outcomes. Again, each of our courses within with the modules laid out as well, have those larger outcomes that we're trying to make sure you understand when you sign on to the class, what you're going to get out of it. And then kind of gives you a layout. And then if you go into the start of the course, it will go ahead and launch. And we have quite a few different things within the classes that are really exciting to work through. We have flip cards. We have just all kinds of different activities that come up as well, that some of them are videos that'll happen here. It's really exciting, engaging, and what we would call experiential. If you were ever involved in CEDIA education before, again, the amount of intellectual content, or breakdown of the content, and just the amazing amount that we had was so great, but then not being able to house it necessarily in an experiential way, we were kind of losing a little bit of momentum there, where somebody's like, you know, I've taken online classes before, how come theirs seems so much more detailed and robust and yours seem a little bit more stagnant? It was like, well, you're right, we need to meet the needs of our audience and our members, and so we really tried to make them as experiential as possible. So we have different things embedded in them, and we're really, really proud of that as well. And you can see that some of the activities in here will break things down in terms of really looking at what each of them needs to cover, and is very, very detailed within each one. So you are truly getting an hour's worth of learning. I will also say each hour-long module has its existing reference guide attached to it. So for those of you that are visual learners that want to come back later and have something that you can then look through and read, I am like that as well. We have a reference guide attached to every single one. So it is truly your experience online. And then if you wanted to have a reading, something that you could read as well, we have that for each one as well. And that's something truly unique to CEDIA. When you go out and you look at some of the other organizations that offer education for any industry, often they will not have an existing reference guide for, or corresponding reference guide for each one. They'll maybe have one larger one. We're very, very proud of being able to offer education that would potentially meet the needs of, or hopefully meet the needs of, so many different types of learners that we have. If I was to go back.
That all looks fantastic. Have you found that in putting these modules together now for the new academy, that the instructors themselves have become a little bit more, you know, re-energized and
Yes.
thought, you know, now the thinking is, well, how can we get more creative with the presentation of all this material?
Yes, a little bit. I'll tell you what, we were so in mode of trying to make sure that we were getting everything finished as quickly as possible, that we did work with our instructors and our, what we call our SMEs, our subject matter experts, and we were on the quick train of finish, but also making sure that we did our due diligence to making them the best as possible that they could be. I will tell you that after COVID-19 has hit and we've all been kind of doing things a little differently, that has actually allowed more time for conversations about just that. So as we're looking at doing Expo, a little plug for Expo coming up, that'll be a virtual event for the first time ever. Some people were a little disappointed, of course. It's a whole new way to experience the show and the conference. However, a lot of our instructors then came back and said, this is something really exciting for us. We could do it completely differently, which then springboarded their thought process about this too. So when we work with our subject matter experts, we do lay out, this is the expectation for you. This is not just a stagnant write up a paragraph. We need you to think about the diversity and inclusion of the actual class. Are we hitting the market across the board? Have we actually done our due diligence with the localization? All of our classes, for the most part thus far, and moving forward, all of them will be localized for our EMEA region. This is something we've never offered in an online platform before. Super proud of that. That reach is super important for our members. So those are all those things that now, working with our subject matter experts and having a little more time to do it, they can see some of the different things and the techniques and the different tools that they could be adding in. And we give them some of that helpful information ahead of time too, with different models of what we'd like them to do. Now that we have something in front of them, it's much easier for them to say, for my next class, I could absolutely add more of the definitions here, more of an embedded video here. So that always helps too from a modeled standpoint if somebody's never done.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of trial and error that they'll use and think to themselves, oh, that was really a big hit during, this time period, but how can we tweak it? And what can we add to it? Just like you were saying, to be more, much more of a dynamic presentation.
Absolutely. And we have a revision cycle for our classes. So the technical classes every year are up for revision. That's just because of even just the differences globally that we see with laws and things coming down the pike. We also try to truly localize, in the sense of, if we're going to do a course that we know there's specific areas in California, for example, versus, the Midwest, where there are just different laws attached to things, we try to hit that with the language as quickly as possible, so that we're always making sure that people coming to our classes have the most accurate data as possible. And then our business classes are typically under the 2-year review, 2 to 3 year, depending. So either way, we always have those up for the revision cycle too, to keep them, as accurate, but as experiential as possible too. There's always new things coming down the pike. We use Rise to build our courses, which is a wonderful instructional design tool. Who knows what will come down the pike in 2 years? They're always changing. And then the last thing I wanted to show you here was the resources tab. Right now we have 4 things that we've added into it, but we'll have many more here. The glossary is big, all kinds of different things that you can click on and experience through our academy that might be a video or might be a PDF or something like that. Just a robust amount of information that somebody clicking onto the academy might not know is there until they kind of play around a little bit. You know, the CEDIA Strong campaign was something we are so proud of. At that time, we gave our education for free. We felt it was really important at the time for all the education we've had in our arsenal of knowledge, as I mentioned before, that everybody should have access while they were navigating through this, like, in some ways very horrible time. And for many of them, maybe having hours cut at work or just different things happening for them. It was a really good thing to do. And I'm really proud of that. And now that we're looking towards the academy and what we're getting ready to offer there and what we are offering now here with the pathways, we're hoping that people will take that next journey with us, because these classes are that next level and that next step up, and will truly take you through your career pathway into certification. So I'm really excited and really proud.
It all sounds fantastic. It's just huge for integrators out there, and we really appreciate you taking the time to run through everything. Is there a direct link to the academy, and how much of it is live right now?
Everything you're seeing is live here, and then the link is just the cedia.myabsorb.com. And I think you can, correct me if I'm wrong, Desiree, I believe that this is just its own independent. That's not necessarily coming from cedia.net. I know that this is how I always get to it, but I don't want to say anything that may be incorrect.
Yes, cediaacademy.net is a direct link to it.
Thank you. I just have my back end, one of what I always go to, so that's why I didn't want to answer it correctly. But yes, and everything you see here is live, and like I said, we're adding things all the time. So yeah, check back if it's something that you're wanting to see. We always encourage emailing as well, saying, hey, you know, Samantha or Derek or anybody, what's coming down the pike, or are you going to do a class on this? And chances are that if it's something that you see at Expo that does really well, and we, you know, our fingers on the pulse of what's resonating with our members, and even our non-members, to tell you the truth, just within the industry, we try to then hit that in a way of building the class out for the LMS. Again, for that reach, you just can't beat the reach of having a wonderful LMS.
All right. Well, thank you once again, Desiree Friedman and Samantha Ventura. We really appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to seeing more about how the website and the academy progresses. And I'm sure we'll be talking a bit more about it as we head toward the virtual CEDIA Expo this year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you at Expo. Thank you very much.